I'm an animal person. I appreciate the beauty of them. I don't know. I was just an animal lover when I was a kid. Dogs and cats and snakes and lizards and whatever I could find. It started when my dad went deer hunting. And shot this deer. And he said, you know, when I shot the deer, he says, the deer wasn't quite dead. And it looked up at his head and looked at me. And he said, it was almost like saying, why did you shoot me? He was intelligent in a very natural way. And he said, I just never could do it after that. And then you realize we were put on here for something, and the best thing we could do is manage what we have and the beautiful things we have. And animals fit right into that category. Mustang horses are going to become extinct if we don't save them, and so I just sort of house them. And they can have a place to live out their existence. I just like to see everything live. I like living things.
Orangutans mean the people of the forest. They are the best farmers because they eat a lot of fruits and they disperse seeds that will keep planting trees. In 1998, I encountered with orangutan that, came and approached me about 10 meters. And I had eye contact for such a long time, maybe 10 minutes. I feel like she delivered a message that please help. In 1998, it's actually the start of the booming of palm oil in Sumatra. When palm oil is cultivated by destroying rainforests, home of many wildlife, including orangutans, that means that this palm oil is actually destructive and unsustainable.
They come in and bulldoze everything. The topsoil's gone, the ground water table changes. The orangutans in dire straits right now.
In the United States, you look at in the back of any product, and about 50% of the products contain palm oil.
1 hectare of palm oil plantation can produce 3 tons of oil a month. This attracts many industry to use palm oil because it's cheap.
And it's anywhere, from shampoos, to lotion, to cookies.
But it's not cheap. In order to produce palm oil, you actually sacrifice a lot of wildlife, including orangutans.
Do you think that female orangutan that approached you, do you think that she knew that you were going to be the one?
I'm chosen by orangutans to help them. I'm founder and director of Orangutan Incubation Center, a local NGO based in Sumatra to save orangutans and deer rainforest homes. Palm oil plantation workers call us for help when they see orangutans. So it is very important to respond to the report very quickly. Saving orangutan actually saving the forest, and saving the forest means actually saving the people and our future.
All right, so we just arrived at the Orangutan Information Center, and
Welcome to our office.
thanks for having us. And Paul, of course, organizing this whole adventure. And so tell me, what are you guys? You're about to go out on a orangutan rescue.
It used to be an orangutan habitat, but then converted to become palm oil plantations. And that's why some of the orangutans still live there and being isolated from their own habitat. And that's why we need to rescue them.
So it was just here in 2012 I was invited to come and document the palm oil expansion and the forest destruction. And also the wildlife trade and what was going on. Yeah, I remember just photographing the orangutan rescue. And he just made eye contact with me, and that was it. I just, the world needed to know about this issue, and that was it. I've been coming back ever since.
So you're rescuing the orangutan, and then now where are you going to translocate them?
If they're in a good condition, we're going to release them at the same day. But if they're in the, in the condition that need medical services, so we work together with SOCP Quarantine Center, and we're going to send them to be rehabilitated before they're going to be released one day when they're ready.
Wow, all right. Well, I know you guys have to get going. Thank you for your amazing work. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good luck, yeah?
Thank you.
We'll hopefully see you
Yeah.
in the next day or so, yeah?
We'll be catching up with you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Community and plantation workers shoot the orangutans initially, and if that doesn't work, then sadly, then they're calling OIC or SOCP to extract these orangutans. So you can imagine there's a lot of wild orangutans out there with bullet wounds.
It's incredibly sad that this even has to take place. Rescuing an orangutan from where it should be its home to translocate it to a place like the lesser ecosystem where it's going to be protected.
They're trapped here, and they use these, plantation trees as the fallback food, rubber. Sometimes when they have to, orangutan just try to adapt to survive.
How long does it usually take for the dart to take effect?
Depends, because sometimes the adrenaline can make it really fast, or usually less than 15 minutes. You can see that the dart is start to be reacted because the movement right now is slowing down.
She's pregnant.
She's pregnant? Is this going to affect the baby?
No. And we found an arrow for bullet on the body. That means she's actually shocked by people.
She was shot by people?
Yeah.
Oh no. Can
Yeah.
you take the bullet out? Are you
When
removing
it's
it?
already planted inside, that happened
Oh,
a lot. When orangutan in the plantation landscape,
Yeah,
people sometimes just try to scare away.
yeah. No.
But also sometimes people, become opportunistic poacher.
Yeah,
They see orangutan. Probably
see.
she was with the baby.
yeah.
Previously, maybe she was with the baby that had been taken by poacher. Who knows?
I hope not.
Oh, for me, it's just another image, a tool to influence consumers, influence people, and how we interact with the planet. And times like this, that strong imagery can really influence people's choices. And I think that's what's important here right now, to show them what's going on, the reason, talk about why it's going on, and hopefully things can change in the future.
They will go extinct, so there's not enough. So we really need to build these corridors, secure land and build corridors between them so the orangutans can move. When they first arrive, every orangutan is given a full medical checkup. So they get the chest x-rays to check for TBC. They get blood samples taken and tested for things like hepatitis, herpes virus, and that kind of stuff. They get a full check over. When an orangutan has been through its quarantine and done all its medical checks and pronounced fit and healthy, then it'll be brought here. So usually we don't just open the door and throw them in. We put them in the shut-off cage so they can see each other for a couple of days. And then gradually introduced to a group, solve that problem. On the left here is Chrismon. He was in a cage that was barely bigger than his shoulder width, you know? I think I have a picture somewhere. He came out of it a couple of years ago. He could barely stand, he barely had the use of his legs. We actually trained him so that we could move him around to get his food, so we got him climbing.
Can these people be prosecuted for keeping a wild orangutan?
That particular case, in theory, yes, but there's never been a case. By a long way, you find a lot more illegal pet orangutans being kept in areas where the palm oil concessions are actively clearing forest.
I see. Okay.
So there is a strong connection there. In front of you now, Losa. He was shot 62 times with an air rifle. He's totally blind. Still got 2 pellets in one eye, one in the other.
That picture of? Yeah.
We took the pellets out that we could palpate through the skin, but he's still got 48 pellets inside him. But he's doing very well. He's fit and strong, but totally blind. There'll never be a wild orangutan again. At a place called Orangutan Haven, we're building these nice islands surrounded by water where there'll be trees and ropes and long grass and bamboo. And he's one of the candidates to go over there. Even after many, many years, I still get a massive thrill just seeing some of the orangutans we've released in the forest behaving like wild orangutans and looking down at me, and they couldn't care less if I'm there or not.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
When did the tourism really start happening here?
Well, it started happening after the turn of the century. I always say, if you want to help the great apes, the first thing that you can do is go to the habitat countries. Vote with your dollars, vote with your feet. And because if you go there, you tell the people, the local people, the national governments of those countries, that you consider the great apes important. Come to see the orangutans. And that's my message. An orangutan used to be able to go from here, 100 miles into the mountains, into the foothills, and then, 10 years later come back, as the males do roam. Now, he can't get back.
He can't.
And the reason he can't get back because he has to go through 100 miles of palm oil.
Kind of explain to me the OFI nursery and what you guys do here.
So pretty much the OFI nursery is where we receive the orangutan orphans. We usually get them from the forestry police or locals as well. And most of these orangutans are orphans because they have killed their mothers. And they've left the babies either be kept as pets or to be sold as pets. Yeah, we care for them, and then hopefully one day they'll be back in the wild.
I think it's really important for these NGOs to really work with community and the plantation owners to really bring them up to speed on the conservation and the value of these species. It's a huge asset for Indonesia and the planet. Let's hope they realize that before it's all gone.
The sad truth is, much of the world does not share my belief that all sentient beings have just as much a right to be a part of this planet. And when you look at those animals and you interact with them, you see how magnificent and special they are. As a child, I grew up on the wild coast of South Africa, where some of the most abundant sea life you could imagine came by my shores every year. My connection with sharks started when I was 6. I went to the shark sport where they collect all the dead sharks out of the nets. And I remember walking through this freezer room piled with these magnificent blue sharks and mako sharks. Something inside my heart said, this is very wrong.
I don't believe there's any animal on the planet that has ever been wiped out in such significant numbers as sharks have. Less than 10% of sharks are left. If we don't save them while we have big numbers, I don't believe that they'll be on this planet much longer.
The smell of those dead animals and the loss of that life set me on a path that I would return to later in life, and that became a primary mission for me. I am a cinematographer, photographer, but more than anything, I'm a conservationist. If we don't take a stand and draw the line on these animals, nothing in the ocean is sacred.
The shark's this beautiful creature responsible for maintaining the balance and health of our oceans. Although sharks are probably safer than every other animal on the planet, that doesn't get into the news at all.
We need to swim in that ocean and feel that water and see these animals grace our presence and realize that these are beautiful, magnificent, and sentient beings that were put on this earth long before us, and that they play just as important role in the system, but they have a right to be here just like us.
I believe the best thing that I can do for conservation is to connect people in a very profound way with sharks so that they can see their true nature as a majestic, sentient creature that you can easily fall in love with and therefore be compelled to spend the rest of your life fighting for the conservation of the species.
Ecotourism is the fastest growing segment of the travel industry. And what once was a world where you went out and hunted animals for sport, we're now seeing a transition away for people to go out and they hunt with cameras and their eyes, and they leave the animals to grow and thrive.
In South Africa. Unfortunately, there's a big lack of regulations on illegal fisheries here, quantification of just how many prey species of white sharks are being removed, and we do believe that's happening at an alarming rate. You know, you've got a resource swimming along the coastline that a very poor family can feed, you know, themselves for over a month, let's say, off. And so, for example, in a restaurant in Cape Town, it would be very unlikely to see shark fin soup on a menu. Ethically, it's just disgusting.
Alison, take us through what we're about to experience here.
Well, you're probably in one of the most remarkable locations in the world for marine life, as you're aware. And what's really special about this part that we're walking down to now in terms of a harbour is it's one of the most accessible locations on the planet for seeing great white sharks. The ecotourism, it's keeping this animal alive, and that's why we feel so strongly about it.
For your safety, please take your seats and remain seated until we're on anchor. Remember to keep one hand on the boat, the other hand for yourself. If you need any assistance near the ride out, please draw attention of any crew.
What we do on every single trip is have a qualified biologist on board to identify every single shark that comes around. Which is you. Which today is me. Which is you. And what an amazing opportunity. So, each great white we see, we log down characteristics on it. Take photographs of the dorsal fin in order to be able to see if we can identify the animal. We have an extensive catalogue back on land with thousands and thousands of fin photos, so we can actually get a good gauge of who's visiting at what time of the year. And I think a lot of people don't realise how highly transient and migratory great whites are.
There's a very high concentration of great whites here because there's a lot of food source for them here in this area, and they're losing that food source anywhere else, so researchers think that that's why they're coming to these areas. And I think it's important for us to be their ambassadors, spread the word of what's happening to them, because not everybody has the opportunity to come learn firsthand.
White sharks having the protective legislation around them, they're a CITES Appendix 2 species, they're listed on CMS. So throughout their distribution, they are You know, they're pretty much protected, but the problem is we get a lot of lack of enforcement. The cage diving ecotourism was initiated in order to, you know, non-consumptively utilize the animal, and it obviously provided its cause. It showed that it's a very viable outlet for tourism, for education, and for monitoring.
Ecotourism is critically important because that is where people see, wow, this animal is actually a beautiful animal. See how it moves. It's not trying to jump on the boat. It's not trying to do this. It's never going to try and eat me. A live animal is worth a lot more than a dead animal.
Why not just enjoy looking at it and enjoy future generations to look at it? And we can all enjoy what's on the planet and leave something for somebody else coming along the way.
When you're taking the life of an animal, you are directly affecting the world around you in a negative way. And the perpetuation of that negative effect is a ripple effect that you might not know how large and vast that ripple effect really is.
We need to understand that our future and the future of the natural world are inextricably tied, and that everything we are doing to hurt the oceans, hurting the nature, hurting the forest is going to hurt us. So that fundamentally comes from a connection, that all species play a critical role in the thriving marine and terrestrial ecosystem.
Elephants are juveniles, and so that means that, you know, they've been through the trauma of seeing their whole families and mothers poached. Oh my gosh. Hi.
Every single one of these animals is here as a result of either human-wildlife conflict or poaching,
greed, money,
or trophy hunting, whatever it may be, that's left these poor orphans on their own. And it's wonderful and it's essential that this is happening, but what's just as important is that we prevent it from happening in the first place. I'm Dan Richardson, I'm an actor and I'm an animal conservationist. And for as long as I can remember throughout my entire life, love for animals, compassion towards animals has been an inherent part of who I am and what matters to me.
Hi.
What drives you? What is your, why this?
Our aim is to take them where they belong, after giving them the second chance to survive.
Wonderful.
If I was not there, all this could not have been here.
You're right.
Because no one to support them. But we're also happy that you guys also helping the part of it to support them, like me I do on the ground.
People right here in Kenya who dedicate their lives to this for very little reward. They're there to protect an animal that will never know they're there being protected. They will never know that that person was fighting the fight for them. If it was a war veteran coming home, they'd be awarded a medal for their bravery. These are frontline heroes doing this.
To start with, in number, I've got 11 baby elephants. I will start with Morera in front of us here, the poaching victim. The injury was caused by human error. They dug a hole and put some spike inside the hole. Morera stepped on this. That's why you see Morera is struggling to walk.
If that happened with an elephant, would the poachers then also sell the ivory or just use the meat?
No. Those poachers who are just aiming for the bushmeat trade, they'll just look for the bushmeat, go for the market. But if they were aiming the elephant for the ivory, they'll just take off the ivory and leave the carcass around there. This is called Kwanza. Kwanza is a poaching victim from Amboseli. She saw the mother being killed, plus one of the sisters. All this still with Kwanza's memory, and she's not very friendly even to human up to now.
They can sense, it's energy. So they can sense bad intention and good intention.
If there's something bad around them, they'll be sensing and keeping away from that bad scent. And also they use smell to smell whatever is going around. For you to work with the elephant, mostly elephants, you have to show them love. You don't force yourself. You know, with love, it's something not forceful. So you have to, and give them peace. So it's just peace and love. You'll be understanding each other.
Well, I want to shake your hand. God bless you
For
for
the
all of
unity.
your work. It's so important. We're with you, and we want to save these animals as much as you
Thank you.
I think, elephants are an iconic species. They represent Africa in so many ways. The orphans especially are such great ambassadors for the cause. I'm a pilot with the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. Even though we're raising money to protect elephants particularly, that money goes towards protecting their habitat and then all of the animals that live in that habitat. So it's not just elephants that we're protecting ultimately.
Sign the poaching could be shooting platforms. The poacher would build a platform on the top of the tree and then wait for animals to walk past, particularly elephants, and shoot them from above with poisoned arrows. It doesn't kill the elephant immediately. It could take several hours or even days to kill the elephant. So that poacher now has to track that elephant through the bush until they find it. There's a chance of getting lucky and finding poachers. We can catch them before they've killed elephants. We're able to deploy canine units and rangers rapidly.
Sort of a need was identified to create a safe habitat for those elephants to be re-released into the wild. We started setting up desnaring teams, which were protecting the area so that there was a safe habitat for the elephants to go back to.
Here is the main park. This is the best place to reintegrate them because we don't have tour roads here.
Yeah.
So they'll not be corrupted. Right. So here is where they will be completely wild. They have their nice time to roam where they want to browse. And eventually here, especially here in the water hole, is where they have a lot of interaction with the wild ones. This is Nelion coming in.
Yeah.
He's been a victim of poaching. We have Aruba, who's also a victim of poaching. They came in here when they completely given up. They had seen no life in front of them, but now they are settled. The keepers have given them that love. They feel that they are at home. Giving us that trust is a big thing for us.
Of course.
Because otherwise, big and heavy animals like this could smash you down in a minute. Because they play around, you see them happy again.
Mm-hmm.
The life that they had lost has been given back, and they're happy to be with us. We raise them for 10 years until when they are really ready and confident to go out in the wild. You see, an animal that has gone wild, an ex-orphan that has gone wild, and he gets a problem or he gets happiness in giving birth, he remembers you. That's the greatest thing.
Anything that's found by a tourist or scout or KWS ranger is reported to KWS, and we work very closely with KWS, our veterinary team that we support.
I've been able to save many animals which are on the brink of death. A lot of animals shot using guns, arrows, and so forth. The biggest challenge in terms of conservation is a poaching menace. The information should go to the buyers and the consumers of these products that they are doing more harm to the animals than they think. If you protect the ecosystem, you are protecting your own health. If you destroy the ecosystem, you're also destroying your own health.
There's a real importance to protect what we do have left, and I think raising awareness of that is paramount.
So we are headed to the Care for Wild Rhino Orphanage, the largest rhino orphanage in the world. And Petronel's the founder, the owner. She's got an incredible team that helps her rescue, rehab, and take in these baby rhinos that we're about to see. These baby rhinos are sadly very valuable. Somebody cut the fence and they got in to the Solio Reserve. They were going to kill some of the rhinos for their horns. And the anti-poaching units found the guy, and thank God they shot the poacher before they can shoot one of these rhinos, which, as we know, there's not many left.
Poaching, rhino horn, is the third biggest revenue generator of any criminal enterprise in the world. Goes all the way to the demand, this ridiculous myth in the Far East that a material the same as hair and fingernails can have magical healing properties. So wildlife crime isn't a group of specialists, it's the same people who are trafficking narcotics. They're using the same routes, they're using the same middlemen, the same corrupt customs officials. It's now moved recently, in the case of rhino horn, from health to wealth. So where the medicinal properties of rhino horn were shown to be nonsense, it's moved from that to a status symbol. And that's a really, really difficult idea to eradicate.
Rhinos, they're going to be on the brink of extinction if we don't have more facilities like this, more Petronels to literally dedicate their lives to saving these animals. There's Petronel, I think.
I think so.
I think that's her. Oh my God. Hi, how are you?
I thought you guys got completely lost. It's just in life, that's a good principle.
You are obviously their voice, but you are reversing all of the damage that has been done to these animals as a result of greed and money and evil.
Black rhino plus minus 4,000 in the world.
That's it.
That's it.
There's only 4,000 black rhino.
That's it. The day they phone and say, we're going to intervene and we need to make sure that we save rhinos. And I say, God, please help me to serve where this animals is coming from with everything I've got.
So this is baby Summer. I've heard a lot about her. I've seen a lot of videos. And so tell me, how did you find her?
Baby Summer came to us from an area in Kruger National Park. They were out patrolling and then they found her next to her mom, and her mom was already dead, and horns hacked off her face. And she was lying next to her mom. And then they call in the rest of the rangers and the helicopter and the pilots and the veterinarian. And then they darted her, put her in a helicopter and bring her to us. Every time a baby comes, it's an anxiety. They will put that baby in the helicopter. Poachers are shooting at the pilot. I truly believe and I trust that at that stage, if I'm the one that needs to protect this animal, the rest must fall in place. In the beginning, they don't realize mom is gone. They cry and they call. So you have to understand the language and the comfort that you need to do. So at first, it's a trust. Look at that. Look at that, Katie.
Look at the
babies. Hello. Look at the mouth.
So these are the.
This is you holding.
Oh, I'm holding this one. Okay. Oh my gosh. These are the black rhinos.
Yeah, this is black rhino. I love to create the emotional bond between an animal and a person that looks after the animal, because you cannot look after something if you don't love it. I live very near these animals. We love them.
Yeah.
And the healing powers is in the animal.
These are the ones that are going to be released. Okay. How many?
They're the next group that needs to be released.
These are white rhinos?
Also white rhinos. They just came in from the veld. We call it a boma, but it's actually a holding facility.
I see.
It's a temporary or permanent holding facility. So if you look at your poles, you can clearly see there's some areas where you can go see through and so on, and it's planted and it makes your animals safe, but it's also an area for you to be safe as the person that's working with them.
This is very serious. This isn't just, like you said, you know, running a farm with some rhinos. This is saving the last of a species that the rest of the world may not see.
The purpose of this exercise is to help the dog for anti-poaching. I'm a retired police officer, especially the K9 unit. My passion now at this stage is definitely the rhinos, because you hear them at night, especially these youngsters. They miss the family because they're orphans now. And there's a female that adopted them, take care of them, and the one was very weak, and all of a sudden, take him under her wing, start eating and start function normal. If you see this every day for 7 months, then you start realizing you can make a difference and protect our rhinos. If you leave this rhinos, just an example, in 2 days there's no rhinos here because the word's gonna spread. That's why we do the inside and the outside perimeter to see if there's any movement or there's people that can sitting and watching us. They cut the horn, the next morning it's gone. The rhino horn is for the eastern block. All of them go there. When you first see a rhino that's been poached, then you decide that guy don't need to walk free. We're gonna hunt you down.
The jungle land teaches observation and awareness. Is this a target worthy of killing or not? Is it a friendly or whatever? So the whole thing is designed to build that process, to ingrain it in a ranger or anti-poaching operator.
My own satisfaction is just to look after them and protect them and help the owner sleep safe and feel that they're safe, that we can make a difference.
Policing is as much a fundamental part of a holistic conservation approach as education in an African school. And as long as we all fight together and we are shining a light on these issues and changing them, we can win. And that's absolutely crucial that we do so.
It's incredibly tragic. I can't explain the feeling.
How meaningful is this place to you and your colleagues, the team that work here?
On the one hand, it's a testament to all the work we do. Sure, these are animals that have been poached. You know, our populations are growing. And it's a great place for us to come and just remember, you know, that this is what it's taken, because sometimes you forget. And it's particularly sad now because of Sudan. You know, he's the last male northern white rhino on the planet, and there he is.
What he did more powerfully than anything else I've ever seen was underline the damage we've done. He emphasized the damage we've done as a species to his species and others.
It's the sixth extinction, the Holocene extinction, means extinction based on human impact, and it's happening now. Some people don't believe it's happening, but we can clearly see it happening with Sudan and all the negative human impact based on greed, money, the legal black market trade of this species for something that has no real medicinal purpose.
Animal conservation is my purpose in life, and without it, animals like these, and incredibly we're talking about the last two of a species in this case, that I want to stand up and fight for. It's almost impossible to comprehend, isn't it? We're literally looking at the two last existing individuals of an entire species.
It's shocking.
Because of human destruction, look at the results now. Only the two remaining on the planet.
Do you think that in vitro fertilization will work with possibly the southern female white rhino right here, the surrogate?
Yeah, we still had hope because in vitro fertilization has never been done before. So we are waiting to see how it's going to be done, and we hope that it might help. If it really helps, we can still have a chance to have as many rhinos as we can.
In getting the eggs out, fertilizing the eggs, creating embryos is one part of the problem that has to be solved. The next part is going to be re-implanting those northern white rhino embryos back into surrogate southern white rhino females, because the two living northern whites can't carry a calf, can't get pregnant.
I think for the most part, people need to fight battles close to home. So whether it's legislation or pressuring politicians in their local area to protect, maintain the integrity of protected areas.
I actually consider this capital, this state capital of California, the epicenter of progress in this country. And frankly, I think it's a fulcrum where we can put a lever and actually start to change global economics around this brutal trade that is on the verge of extincting some of our most iconic species on the planet. Trophy hunting for these iconic endangered African species is not only brutal, but it is anachronistic, some false show of masculinity that people want to go out there and act tough by slaughtering lions, rhinos, giraffes. This has to end. This bill, SB 1487, could actually preserve the last remaining iconic endangered species on this planet. The fight for our own humanity is wrapped up in the future of these species. Even though they say, well, what does this have to do with people? You're not helping people here. I say that this is the most powerful thing we can do to restore the dignity and humanity of the human race, and not just make ourselves exploiters and consumers, but stewards. We're putting our flag down here in California today saying we know where we stand. We stand with the species of this planet, and that the ultimate test of a civilization's morality is how they treat those who can't protect themselves. Do you like to fight? And do you like to fight with ethics and the law on your side? And that's why I'm here. I'm a nice guy, but I don't like to be pushed around. I don't like bullies.
We have firsthand experience witnessing the two last female northern white rhinos left on the planet. Lions, cheetahs, elephants, all of these species are facing extinction, and we support this bill 100%, and we ask for your support to save these animals before they go extinct in our lifetime. Thank you so much.
They've been on this planet for millions of years, and in the last 120 years, we've been wiping them out. A dead elephant is one hunting fee to usually a dictator. It never gets to the people.
Trophy hunting is the worst. It's strictly to see who's got the biggest elephant head or whatever they're looking for. I feel humans should know better.
If you ever get down to a point where you've lost all of your wild populations, you only have animals left which have been kept in zoo conditions for long periods, then your chances of recovering that species are going to be extremely small. We have the power to reverse it, and it needs to be led by governments. And I think we're beginning to see that happen.
If we can change rules, regulations, government, laws, the way that the fishing quotas, to this, to that, then we should do it.
SB 1487 could actually be what turns the tide in the fight to preserve the last remaining iconic endangered African species. SB 1487 does that by prohibiting the possession of body parts of 11 iconic African endangered species. Conservation strategy need not adopt a policy of poaching and of killing to actually achieve its ends. How do we want to be remembered on this planet as people? Those who left nothing else behind and just were extracting this planet and vanquishing species and torturing animals.
The motion is to pass to the Committee on Judiciary. Eduardo Garcia. Aye. Garcia, I. Gallagher. Carrillo. Carrillo, I.
Or that actually healed this planet, and I think right now is that moment.
The bill is out, 8-4.
I think, you know, in the entertainment business, I'm always getting makeup on my face. And I want to make sure that the animals didn't suffer unnecessarily. That, to me, is the most cruel. Science has evolved past bunnies in a box. So now that we have these human-relevant models that are actually closer to keeping humans safe, more efficient and cheaper, we can use them.
I just want to say how proud I am to be a principal co-author of SB 1249 to protect animals from cosmetic testing. And look, we know that for more than 50 years, unfortunately, animals have been used in painful tests to assess the safety of chemicals used in cosmetic products. Not only is this practice inhumane, but unnecessary where lab alternatives exist. Please join me in supporting SB 1249, such an important legislation for those that do not have a voice to speak up for themselves.
Thank you so much for being here. Today is critically important to save the lives of hundreds of thousands of animals every year that get tortured for vanity and fashion. And I always strive to ask everybody to go cruelty-free and always look for the leaping bunny. And if it does not say cruelty-free, they usually test on animals.
As an actress, every makeup chair that I sit in, I try to make sure that the cosmetics being used on me were not tested on animals. But the burden is on us. It is on the consumer. And it shouldn't be that way. And it isn't that way in the EU and many other countries.
After getting resounding bipartisan support in the Senate with Democrats and Republicans coming together to vote in favor of it, SB 1249 now faces an important vote on the Assembly floor.
You know, what are we doing? It's completely archaic. It's fiscally irresponsible, and we have the numbers on that as well. So it would be great if California, as progressive as it is, would be the first to do this. In very privileged countries like the United States, we tend to be very centered on self. All of the things that involve cruelty and chemicals and everything else they're putting in your cosmetics is bad for you. So if you're centered on self, you want to make better decisions for your body, your health, the environment, the planet that you're leaving for your children, these are the decisions.
They still allow testing to occur in China, so SB 1249 would get rid of that exemption, so even if you were to test it in China, you wouldn't be able to sell it in California, which is a huge step forward. Once they introduce the bill, then I have to, and my team, we have to knock on every office, every legislator's office, talk to them about the bill, tell them why it's important, and get them to vote for it.
One of the reasons why we asked John to come today is because he is an entrepreneur, and since his stardom as a basketball player, he's embraced a vegan lifestyle, compassion, entrepreneur. So he's really a star to us in this realm, and we're so honored to have him with us today. So let me ask you, have you heard anything about SB 1249 yet, the California Cruelty-free Cosmetics Act? Because the existing testing is still killing and torturing over 400,000 animals a year.
We've done a lot of things in the past because we didn't know better, but now we do.
When they asked, I said, don't you want to go up on a hill, man, and shake some fences and get some people to pay attention? I just think it's a cool thing. And if I could go and see things in sports that's not gonna change anybody's life, right? And guys will sit around and they argue on ESPN all day about it. This changes not just our lives. It means we save like 54 million land animals a year, everybody. And another thing, you make sure get that vote. Did you? Oh, you didn't hear him?
We're rolling on that, right? With advocates like this, I'm very pleased to sign on as a co-sponsor of this legislation and looking forward to working with the group. So. Thank you.
I understand you're a vegan, right?
Yeah.
My brother does he had for a while was doing like MMA fighting. Like, he was big and all that, and he's a vegan too. He was the one who told me that.
When I first came in the league, my first year, I was eating a cheeseburger and fries and a shake before playing against the Milwaukee Bucks, and I'm still knocked out. And I was the slowest I ever was. And he said, "How's that cheeseburger treating you?" And then from that point on, from 1986, I started paying attention to what food does. Oprah put out a thing with Deepak Chopra in 1993. It was, you should not eat with people you don't like, because your body, your psyche, does certain things to the food. So if you eat something that's dead, something that has been murdered, something that has been afraid to be murdered, and you get that in your spirit, you now have that. You ever see the biggest guys are always jumpy? That's that cow.
Are you an I vote?
I'm totally against animal testing too. So, and I have been throughout my career.
Here we go. My friend started a thing called Mixed Chicks for hair. She's half white, half black, and her hair was mixed, so she had it for hair. And she literally made it cruelty-free before she put it out. And if she can do that in the thought process, and they asked me to come be involved, I said, yeah, no problem.
I'm an animal lover. So I can commit to that, and I'm an animal lover. So I'm all about being humane and humanity and making sure that we do things right. And so I find that interesting. It would be a great way to be able to go back and find some data and some pathway so that we can help guide the committee in making the right decision.
Can I have a picture so just in case you do it wrong, I can say this?
I have a picture.
I'd like to start by telling you what your yes vote means today. Over 500,000 animals will no longer be tortured for tests that have been scientifically proven to be unnecessary to show safety. You will save these animals from being tortured while they are alive and then thrown into the trash, left to suffocate while writhing in pain because corporations decided that the cost and time to euthanize them would negatively affect their bottom line.
It's quite clear to me that this will not only save the lives of tens of thousands of animals, but it will also save torture of so many more.
I think it's time that we added ourselves to the list of nations that have gone cruelty-free. So I'm pleased to be supporting this legislation today and would just respectfully ask to be added as a co-author.
Thank you very much.
Stone?
Aye.
Stone, aye. Cunningham?
Aye.
Cunningham, aye. Chow? Chu? Holden? Kalra? Kalra, aye. Reyes? Reyes, aye. Gabriel?
Thank you.
That bill is out. Thank you.
Yeah, the good thing about doing good things is that it becomes infectious. I think our future as a civilization and as a species is directly intertwined with our willingness to preserve biodiversity. I started the International Anti-Poaching Foundation in 2009 after travelling around Southern Africa, seeing what was happening with indicator species like elephant and rhino and what we're doing to them. And the thing that makes me feel the best is being able to help rangers to protect animals, being able to speak out on behalf of animals, being able to be a voice for the voiceless. One of the programs that we run in Zimbabwe is called Akashingo, which translates into the Brave Ones, and it's an all-female anti-poaching or conservation model. It's the only nature reserve in the world to be completely managed and protected by women. We saw other industries progressing and thought, well, if conservation can't have that opportunity, maybe we can't progress either. Clear.
No matter who you are and what you do, you are my relative or I don't care. When you tamper with my animals, I do my job. My message goes straight to women. Let's not sit and look down upon ourselves. Let's stand on our heels and raise the flag and let our voices be heard that we as women, we can do it.
We're involved with protecting the environment, protecting animals. That's what we do. Okay, the meat industry is the greatest negative impact against both of those things.
Being a vegan, it really helps a lot because I know the importance of the things which I'm protecting.
One less step to being able to fight. There's two types of conservationists. There's vegans and there's those that don't like to take their work home. And I'm happy to say that, and that's cost of a lot of funding, but the truth isn't for sale and it never will be.
Living that plant-based lifestyle, the first thing that I cut out was dairy. The leading cause of environmental pollution, and I also knew that these cows were enslaved. Listen, a cow has to give birth to give milk. So there are some dairies that are pumping out hundreds of calves per day. A lot of those calves are male. And where do those calves go now? Because there isn't a monster veal industry anymore, those calves are going for dog food. My name is Kudo. I'm the founder and lead investigator of ARM Animal Recovery Mission. We're based in Miami Beach, Florida. What we're doing in the field, rescuing animals, delivering undercover footage, exposing really the truth of the worst cases of animal cruelty. It is an extremely sad, heartbreaking job to look at animals while you're in the field undercover and see them boiled alive, butchered alive, disassembled alive, beaten to death. And remember, as an undercover investigator, you're the bad guy. So you have to laugh and be one of the crowd as this is taking place. This is a small percentage of our gear. The drone. Extremely important to the investigator. Undercover camera. Without the undercover camera, we would get absolutely nothing done and absolutely no footage whatsoever. People that are working in slaughterhouses and factory farm, they have violent pasts. They have been convicted of serious crimes in the past. But also, we're undercover right now in farms that hard narcotics are being used and dealt.
It's important for people to understand the true reality of what takes place in factory farms, where you think you're getting your meat from a good, wholesome place, and it's actually coming from a place that's dirty, inhumane, and just uncared for.
We just arrived at this hunting preserve in Florida, and so tell me about this place.
There's several locations here in Central Florida that provide people the opportunity to come out here and pay to hunt several different types of species of animals, and endangered species that are raised here on these properties, and then people pay large amounts of money, up to $20,000, $30,000 to come out here and hunt. People don't really even know that this is even available. And to be honest, I didn't even know that this was available until recently.
You can feel there's like there's a fear.
Anybody who says that they care for their animals and that their animals are happy, they're not happy. Animals that are free are happy. The animals that are contained and enslaved are not happy.
These people, I think that they feel like they're not doing anything wrong, and they feel like, this is a way for them to profit and make money off of killing animals. Something wrong with people that can feel okay with killing an animal and then putting a trophy on their wall or a rug on the floor. It just doesn't really make sense.
So the only saving of the animal that takes place is by us. the outside world is the one who needs to come in and save those animals. And you know, you say, oh, I can't go in there and do those investigations, which I've met plenty of people who have said that they can't go in there. I can't believe you do that, or I can't, you know, I could never do what you do. But the reality is that those individuals, they can help, and they can help in a drastic way just by not consuming that product.
Who's this? Yeah, this is the one.
The one and only.
So this is Secretariat's
great grandson, basically.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow.
So here's a really
so
interesting
beautiful.
story, though. Here's the whole reason why I'm started. Basically, as a 3-year-old, he was in one of his few races. He hadn't started much, and as you can see on his leg, he's got fire pin marks. So he got clipped by another horse, which pretty much shattered his leg, almost broke it all. And then they decided he had no use, so they took him to a slaughter farm, and that's where he was going to become a part of the black market horse meat trade.
Unbelievable.
And that's when Kudo first found out about the black market horse meat trade, and as a redemption to freedoms, was like, I'm going to expose it and bust it and then get back to my life. Well, he soon found out that illegal animal slaughter farms is like the underground belly where all of the illegal and horrible animal cruelty operations just, network out of. So everything from animal fighting and,
Started with rescuing a horse from an illegal slaughterhouse in Miami, Florida. But that is really what made me break out of my bubble. It's what made me give up my profitable life monetarily to switch and make the leap. And I can tell you, from a person who was so profit-driven, that I'm much more happy and accomplished in my life now than I was then.
And that's little Kudo. That's one of the first pigs at the back. Kudo actually rescued him off in the middle of the night off a slaughter farm in Miami. And he actually had an axe hole in his top of his head. He still has it. He has a scar.
No.
So Kudo took him in. He's very cool, very quiet and calm.
When you meet farm animals in the sanctuary setting, you start to see how they are all very different. Each pig is so different, and their likes and dislikes and the way they behave and interact with people. And so I think, it's just a misconception that is put out there for a reason, because we couldn't possibly eat them if we knew them.
Woo! Come on, cows! Calvin! Come on! Come here!
And Calvin with the white stripe is, his mother died giving birth to him, so he's been here with us. Brownie, the big one with the horns, he's one of the few owner relinquishments that we took. And then we'll see who else comes over. But they probably will.
Here in the States, we don't eat dogs, we don't eat cats, and we've put up this wall in between them and all of the other animals. If you come out to a sanctuary and you meet these guys and you look them in the eyes, you'll see that they're not different than your dog, they're not different than your cat. Just like you wouldn't eat a dog, you're not gonna eat a pig once you make that connection.
A lot of different farm animals have the awareness, the intelligence, the emotional intelligence of a 3-year-old child. It's a critical thing to understand, this dichotomy of ingesting the very thing that we would care for in any other situation.
My name is David Verberg. I'm a 2016 Olympic gold medalist, plant-based athlete, and animal advocate. Basically, the whole reason why I became vegan was because I grew up on a farm with probably 25 different types of animals, from chickens to goats, sheep, peacocks. Somebody came up to me and we were talking, and I had bottle fed the calf, and like, well, so you must be vegan. And I was like, no. Well, like, why not? And I didn't have a good answer at the time. Like, I really couldn't tell them why I wasn't vegan. And then that's when I slowly started my transition to a full plant-based lifestyle. It went with steak first, and chicken, and then fish, and then kind of just slowly started cutting out dairy from my diet. And people look at me like, he's running a little bit better, he's smiling, he's happy, he has energy, like what is he doing? And then that's when I'm like, oh, well, I switched to a plant-based diet. And that's when the questions start like, okay, well, how? What did you do? And that's when it's like, oh, well, let me show you. And that's when you kind of like take them by the hand and you kind of help in that direction.
When you want people to make changes, significant changes in their diet, that's a huge thing for them, you know what I mean? And it's terrifying. We do monthly vegan potlucks.
Yeah.
you know.
Got all kinds of things going on, so.
When you have great alternatives like the Beyond Burger, I think it helps like lessen that fear.
I am a junk food vegan. I eat vegan macaroni and cheese and vegan cheeseburgers and vegan burritos and vegan pizza and all of those things that other people eat. I'm just eating vegan versions of it. And so I don't care if you're doing it for your health or the environment or the animals. At the end of the day, the animals benefit from us making that decision. I've got a 200-mile-an-hour billboard promoting the vegan diet. When you've got 7.6 billion people on the planet making day-to-day decisions, you know, we need to be making conscious ones, or we're gonna not only destroy the planet and our environment, we're gonna take out humanity, but we're gonna take out so many amazing species with us. And 3 times a day, we all sit down for a meal. And it doesn't cost extra money to leave meat and dairy products off of your plate. In fact, it will save you money in healthcare because you're gonna be healthier. I can go to the store right now and pick up, you know, a variety of different kinds of vegan ice creams and vegan macaroni and cheeses and vegan pizzas. So this excuse that it's a hard thing to do, I don't buy it. My motto is never underestimate a vegan hippie chick with a race car. There's not a lot of hippies in racing. There's not a lot of vegans in racing. There's not a lot of girls in racing. So that kind of summarized all of the things that made me the oddball out in the garage in one sentence. Every time the track announcer talks about the vegan food on TV during the NASCAR broadcast, to me is a win, because I know that's echoing onto, you know, millions of ears. And that is what my primary goal was.
Thank you very much for joining us. Again, I'm Nancy Skinner, Senator from the East Bay, and I am carrying the bill SB 1138. It requires hospitals, prisons to provide a plant-based meal option.
I think that we should expand this to every other state, not just California. And I think this is just the beginning of much to come with leading in this plant-based movement. So thank you so much for being here.
This bill would empower individuals to make healthier choices both in and out of the hospital setting. It would have a far-reaching effect in terms of healthcare costs. It would also pave the way for other states to adopt similar measures and to potentially change the face of healthcare in the United States. Thank you.
Going plant-based is our passion, our love for the people or the animals, the beings, the lives we're fighting for.
When you consider the impact of a plant-based diet in the oceans, it's almost unimaginable. You would eliminate all of the destructive fisheries, the gill nets, the long lines, the purseines, the bomb fishing, all of those industries right now that are literally wholesale destroying an entire ecosystem for our palates. It would be probably the single most important thing we could do today to save the oceans.
We're wasting so much land and water just in livestock production that could be going to crops that people could actually eat themselves. Just from a practical standpoint, eating meat doesn't, on a grand scale like this, does not make sense.
Consume less and be conscious of how that food ended up on your plate, and think about that and really try to work with the planet.
When I was very young, a physician friend of my dad's came over and we were eating a big pot roast, you know, with all kinds of carrots and things around it. And this physician just said, you know, we shouldn't be eating all this.
My name is Janelle Palacio Butler, and these are my 2 children, Zion and Genesis. In July 2016, I was admitted to Long Beach Memorial Hospital to give birth to my 4th child. Before labor, I informed the hospital that I was vegan for ethical reasons. My first meal after giving birth is a white bread with iceberg lettuce, a slice of tomato with cheese on it. Not only did the sandwich have cheese, but I can tell it had meat and they had just taken the meat off. I told them I'm sorry and I was very polite, give it back to them. They sent me chicken broth next. Told them chicken broth is not vegan. They said, well, there's no chicken in the soup. And at the end of this ordeal, I was told by the hospital administrator, and I quote, "We don't give vegan meals. People who want vegan just cave in and they eat what we give them."
We're not a fringe thing. We're not crazy. This is just a compassionate lifestyle is all it is. And I think when you put it towards people that way, they can't really argue with doing less harm.
Item number 9, SB 1138, do pass as amended appropriations. Call the members, please.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Hernandez, aye. Leyva. Mitchell. Monning.
Aye.
Nielsen. Pan.
Currently has 6, enough to get out. We're going to place that bill on call. We do have some absent members.
You know, I suppose the most enlightening thing or empowering thing for me is the realisation the important things in life are not things, they're actions. And deciding that my life is not going to be about me anymore and what I can make and take, but what I can do. Being able to speak out on behalf of animals, being able to be a voice for the voiceless. And knowing that we maybe can't change the entire world as an individual, but we can change the world for many individuals.
Mother Nature, that feminine energy, needs to rise again. Because it is only that energy, I believe, that will give us space to let other beings share this world with us. And that's where we need to turn the tide and support an ecosystem that not only thrives for nature, but itself helps protect our livelihoods and our future.
The more people that just spend time in nature, I think it's a win for themselves, spiritually, personally, and on a global level. People really need to slow down and think about what we're doing and how we're coexisting with this amazing planet.
We have to place more value on life, and I think that goes with all animals.
I think there's more people that are getting interested in the well-being of animals. And I think it's just general intelligence. Mankind is tough on the planet. Changing the way of looking at animals as saving the planet.